You know, in Demon Slayer, a win isn't always the end of the story. Sometimes it's just the beginning of the pain. Today, we're going to break down this incredible battle that doesn't just push Tanjiro to his absolute physical limit, but also reveals a psychological weapon so twisted, it actually makes demons tear themselves apart from the inside.
All right, so we're jumping in right at the breaking point. I mean, the absolute breaking point. Tanjiro's in this insane struggle with the arrow demon Yahaba. He's managed to land what should be the final blow, but Yahaba's last attack is this nasty curse. It's a web of vector arrows just threatening to rip him limb from limb. The pain is so bad, he's convinced his arms are literally about to be torn off.
And that right there brings us to our first big topic, the incredible physical price of this fight. See, this isn't just about winning, it's about somehow surviving the win itself. It's about what happens when you push a human body way, way past its limits. So to fight back against this constant, brutal pull of the arrows, Tanjiro has no choice but to just unleash this non-stop storm of water-breathing techniques. We're talking pure survival mode here. He's not even trying to attack anymore. He's just trying to spin fast enough to create enough force to keep himself from literally being pulled apart. And this is where it gets kind of crazy. There's this wild irony happening. The very force of Yahaba's arrows, the thing that's supposed to be killing him, is actually making Tanjiro's defense stronger. The harder Yahaba pulls, the more powerful Tanjiro's counterspin becomes. It's this brilliant, but you gotta imagine agonizing, display of combat physics in action.
He's just chaining these forms, one right after the other. There's no time to breathe, no time to even think. It's all just instinct and raw muscle memory at this point. The goal? Super simple. Just keep moving, keep spinning, and pray the demon's power gives out before he does. This isn't some elegant duel, you know? This is a nasty, brutal battle of pure endurance. So when the arrows finally disappear, you see the real cost of that win. Tanjiro just collapses. He's got a broken leg, his arms are shredded, and he's so exhausted he can't even hold his own sword. Yeah, he won the fight, but the victory left him absolutely shattered. Okay, so while that whole brutal physical battle was going down, something else was happening. The scene shifts to a totally different kind of fight. While Tanjiro was in a war of endurance, his demon ally, Tamayo, was fighting a battle of pure wits against the Temari demon, Susumaru. And this really gets to the core of the problem, right? How do you beat an enemy that's pretty much immortal? I mean, a sword isn't going to cut it for good. So if you can't destroy their body, what do? Well, Tamayo's answer is, frankly, it's chillingly brilliant. You get them to destroy themselves. See, Tamayo's strategy is genius. She doesn't even try to challenge Susumaru's physical strength. Instead, she goes right for her loyalty. She knows the big bad, Muzan Kibutsuji, doesn't rule with respect. He rules with pure, absolute fear. And Tamayo is about to weaponize that fear against one of his own. And here's the trap. Tamayo uses her bewitching aroma. It's basically this spell that acts like a truth serum. You can't lie. She starts baiting Susumaru, poking at her, questioning Kibutsuji's power. And of course, this prideful demon falls for it. Hook, line, and sinker. To defend her master, she does the one thing she should never, ever do. She says his name out loud. Boom. With that one word, the curse is activated. It turns out, every single demon Kibutsuji creates has his cells inside them, and those cells act like a biological kill switch. It's the ultimate move for a paranoid control freak, right? It makes sure nobody can ever rat him out. So think about it. Susumaru wasn't really killed by Tamayo. She was executed by her own master. And this moment just lays bare the huge difference between the demons we're seeing. On one hand, you've got pawns like Susumaru. They're totally controlled by this curse they don't even know exists. But then you've got Tamayo and Yushiro. They've somehow broken free from that control, and they're fighting to get their own free will back. So this whole idea of free will versus being programmed, that brings us right to the emotional core of this whole arc, Nezuko, and what's going on inside her head. So up to this point, Nezuko has been operating on a pretty simple hypnotic suggestion, right? All humans are family, protect them. All demons are enemies, fight them. It's this very black and white system that's supposed to keep her demon side in check. Well, that programming is about to get a major test. But then something happens. Tanjiro, all injured and confused, starts moving toward Tamayo and Yushiro, and Nezuko steps right in front of them, shielding them. Now hold on. This goes completely against her programming. They're demons. So why on earth is she protecting them? What this proves is that the hypnosis isn't the only thing in the driver's seat. She saw Tamayo and Yashiro helping Tanjiro, and even though they're demons, she made her own call. She decided they were allies, that they were worth protecting. Her own will actually overrode her programming. It's our biggest clue yet that the real Nezuko is still in there. And that powerful moment of trust, it basically cements the alliance between Tanjiro and Tamayo, and that leads them to a really critical decision about what comes next. So Tamayo makes a very logical and, honestly, a very kind offer. She says, "Leave Nezuko with us." I mean, it makes sense, right? Dragging her into these insane fights is a huge risk. Leaving her with other demons who actually want to protect her seems like the smart, safe play. And it puts Tanjiro in a really tough spot. But Tanjiro, his decision isn't about logic. It's about love, and it's about a promise he made. He just says no. He turns down the offer. For him, this whole journey was never just about slaying demons. It was about finding a cure for Nezuko with Nezuko. Their bond is everything. It's why he fights. And there's just no way he's ever going to be separated from her again. And so their paths are set. But this leaves us with one last, kind of sobering reality check about what it really means to be a demon slayer. Look, this alliance was never going to be permanent. Tamayo and Yashiro, they've exposed themselves, so they have to disappear, back into the shadows. For Tanjiro and Nezuko, there's only one direction, forward. So after a quick goodbye, they start heading south, right towards the next inevitable battle. And this part is just brutal. I mean, Tanjiro hasn't even had a second to process the fight, his injuries, the sheer emotional roller coaster of everything that just went down, and his Kazagai crow is already there squawking his next mission at him. There's no rest, no recovery, just the next mission, always. So when you look back at this whole conflict, you realize we saw three totally different kinds of strength on display, didn't we? You had Tanjiro's raw physical strength to just endure the pain. You had Tamayo's brilliant intellectual strength to outsmart her enemy, and you had Nezuko's emotional strength to follow her own will. It really makes you wonder, what is true strength? And out of all of those, which one is the most powerful in the end?